This is the 13th annual Disaster Prevention Day in China. Michael Dorsey is an expert on global energy, environment, finance, and sustainability matters. He joins us now from Exeter, New Hampshire to discuss this year's events. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Elaine.
Well, I'd like to get your take on how disaster prevention has improved in China since that 2008 Wenchuan earthquake.
You know, there's a tremendous amount of focus on disasters, not just in China, but really worldwide. We've seen climate-induced disasters worsening over the past, generation, particularly since the 1980s going forward. And as a result of that, we've seen a lot of emphasis nationally, not just in China, but in other countries like in the U.S., across developing countries in Africa, Latin America, and so forth, put a lot of emphasis on preventing disasters and putting monies into them, because really they impact GDP and economies catastrophically. In the generation, we've seen disasters, result in almost $2 trillion worth of losses to GDP worldwide. So it's quite catastrophic. So the emphasis is being placed by folks like countries like China and elsewhere.
Well, when you talk about prevention and spending money, allocating money, talk to us about some examples. For example, we're hearing a lot about technology. Can you give us a sense of how that's being used and what else is being developed to address these natural disasters that seem to be getting worse by the year?
Well, the biggest thing I think is you see the reinsurance industry putting a lot of emphasis not just on putting money to cover existing disasters, but putting money into research and development and really thinking about how we can invest in prevention and so forth. So that's a big part of responding to the situation. Right now, we're basically looking at 3 times as many disasters per year, per annum, than we were, a generation ago. So the intensity is increasing, but at the same time, emphasis is being placed by those to understand the impacts of disasters and putting more resources on research and looking into those processes.
And that being said, when we see bigger typhoons, bigger earthquakes, bigger wildfires, what are some of the concerns that we need to consider as this goes on? What do you think is not getting enough attention?
Well, the biggest thing is that the fact is that disasters are not, even phenomena. They fall disproportionately on the margins of society. So those that are the worst off, those that are the poorest, those that are on the margins of societies, whether it's in China, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Africa, Asia, other parts of Asia, so forth, those are harmed first and most. So we've got to put more resources to protect those on the margins of society. And we're seeing those commitments. The commitment, I think, that the new US administration is putting on environmental justice speaks to this issue by basically recognizing the fact that disasters don't occur evenly and that the burdens from disasters fall disproportionately upon those on the margins of society.
All right, Michael Dorsey, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Elaine.